Hi, I'm Luke with the Weekend Warriors.
And I'm John.
We're here at Shieldbreaker Games in Denver, Colorado to showcase some of the new technical paints that Citadel has just released today. We got all of our Blood Bowl players lined up. These guys were done primered black and then put bolt gun metal over their armor. And we went in through with all these different technicals and we tried to decide how to use them.
So there are 5 technical paints and 1 new dry paint. So you have your slime that is Nurgle's Rot. You have a Crackling Earth, which is a Grelin Earth. You have a Blood that is aptly named Blood for the Blood God. You have a Patima, which is Nihilak Oxide. You have a Rust, the dry color, that's Ryza Rust. And then you have one kind of rainy, rusty color that's Typhus Corrosion. And we're going to go through and show you each one individually, as well as give you tips on how they should be used, because they're a little finicky. So there is a proper way to use them.
We'll also be showcasing the new Chaos Dice Cube and all the different dice inside. These just dropped today. They're pretty cool.
Alright, first we're going to showcase the Nurgle's Rot. So as you can see on this Blood Bowl character, we've kind of just slopped it all over. What I've found with this technical paint is that it really likes to go in the recesses. So it's kind of goopy. It definitely dries with a gloss sheen. And it's probably going to be mostly used for, you know, your Nurgle characters or really anything with a slime theme. So it could be used for poisoned weapons or poison sacks on your Nid players' Nids.
This will also make a great basing tool if you want to put some primordial ooze on the ground without having to go into water effects. Just simply slop it over something or put it in a little tiny hole, and now you've got a little swamp.
Alright, so next we're going to do the Crackling Earth, the Agrelian Earth, and it's showcased as being just a crackled earth, something that you should put on your bases. So I've done a couple tests. This one is just straight. I put it on pretty thick, no undercolor. This one I put 3 different colors and 3 different thicknesses. So from that I can recommend that don't do a brown color underneath. It's definitely like the browns and the blues, and it hasn't really cared about the thickness that you put on. It likes 2 layers minimum. 1 layer just isn't enough, and it doesn't crackle at all.
It takes about 30 minutes to dry, but why just stop at your bases when you can put it on armor for caked on dirt? You could put it on your skeletons for a freshly exhumed look. You can even put it, instead of putting mud on people, it will make a nice sort of deserty sand on the bottoms of their cloaks. I've even heard that you can use it for scales. You put it on somebody and then you just simply paint over with a different color or wash in a green or blue color, whatever color you want your scales to be.
Now to everyone's favorite, Blood for the Blood God. It's your standard blood color, and unlike a watered down red, it definitely looks like blood. You can get it on your fingers, it'll make it look like you cut yourself, so it's just a great all-around blood. As we'll show you in another video or later in this video, I used it on the Nurgle Chaos Lord, and he's looking pretty good when you put the blood effects in his open sores.
I know in this month's White Dwarf they showed you how to flick it on things as well as how to kind of smear it with your fingers. Both of those techniques work really well. It tends to be a lot stickier and thicker than a regular paint, so it will stick to your fingers. It probably will never come out of clothing, and it definitely you want to use it in very sparingly, because it does tend to pool and sort of coagulate on your models.
Alright, so here's the Nihilak Oxide. It's just a standard Patima. You put it on sparingly. Definitely put it in the areas that you want it, rather than just your entire model, unless you want them to look like a bronze statue that's been underwater for years.
This one saves you a lot of time from having to mix your own oxide. It's a little light for my taste, because I believe it's only supposed to go on certain types of metal. It does look pretty good on bolt gun. It gets a very, very oxidized look. I'm going to try it on Warplock Bronze or Tin Bits. and some other gold colors and let you guys know how it looks.
So this is the new dry color, Rise of Rust, and we have two separate minis here that Luke will go through.
Rise of Rust is essentially a dry of Troll Slayer orange. This first mini on the left, I put down a layer of bolt gun, and then I also just simply dry brushed on a light layer of the Rise of Rust. It comes out pretty good. It's a pretty quick rust effect. It's a little orange, so if you were hoping for something a little more brown, this is not it. The one on the right is the traditional way of doing rust. It's scrag brown, dry brush on with bolt gun metal. It gets you a little less rusty look, depending on how rusty you want your vehicles or armor or weapons to be. What a good technique for using this is to put down the Typhus Corrosion first, and then to dry brush on the Rise of Rust, and you'll get a really quick rust effect without having to do 4 or 5 layers.
Alright, this is the final technical paint that we have today. It's Typhus Corrosion. It's pretty great color. It's just your classic rusty, watered, muddy, murky. I can see a ton of spaces where this would be great to use. It definitely turns bolt gun metal into a nice old looking, kind of been buried for a couple years kind of look.
This paint is kind of interesting. It's almost somewhere in between a wash and a texture coat. It actually has little grains and bits in it, and those can kind of cling onto stuff and look like if you put this on exhaust pipes or something like that, you would get a really, really unique effect. This is somewhat a step of replacing weathering powders. It gets you that nice corrosion look without having to go through weathering powders or get any weathering powders. Here's finally a Senior Technical where we kind of just based him, primed him black, put on some bolt gun for the armor, and then went to town with all those different technical paints. You can see he's got the oxidized shoulder pads, his armor had corrosion over it with a dry brushing of rust, he then had blood smeared on that. It's real fun to just use these textures and use these technical paints and see what you can kind of get out of them. They'll definitely save you a lot of time from having to switch to Ard Coat to get a gloss finish on anything, and they're definitely good for your collection.
Alright, so here's Games Workshop's new Chaos Dice Kit. Games Workshop going in classics fashion, doing their 8-pointed star of chaos on everything, as you can see on the lovely dice cube that it comes in. There's chaos symbols everywhere. And then this particular one is the Mixture of Gods, so you have all the different colors. You have red for corn with gold inlets, you have blue for Tzeentch with gold inlets, Nurgle with brassy inlets, and then a lovely cream color for Slaanesh.
This dice kit is pretty nice. You get some really cool looking dice that you can't get otherwise. They all kind of have this marbled effect on them, and they're sort of pearly. They definitely look a lot better than the regular dice cubes you can buy. I think these are maybe $1 or $2 more. This retailed for $10. It comes with both a scatter and an artillery die, and all the dice seem to be randomized, so it's not set which color you'll get more or less of. For instance, I got a lot of the pearl color, which is Slaanesh, and no corn, which makes me a sad demon player. John will be painting his Nurgle Chaos Lord and a few techniques on how to use these new paints because they can be a little bit difficult and different from regular paints to use.
So I've already gone over some of the pieces. I've done blood in his open wounds. I painted below them with a scarlet color, and then I kind of worked them up to orangey yellow, and then I put the blood over them, and it's made these very kind of gross looking, kind of bone-ish, just open sores. But right now I'm going to take the Nurgle's Rot and show you kind of how it goes on in his gut area. So here we go. Here goes the first. I don't know if you can see how kind of thick it goes on the brush. And I'm going to kind of just roll it in. And as you can see, it kind of goes around everything. Doesn't like staying on the raised areas. And I'm going to kind of coat his little slime goopy thing coming out of his stomach. I'm more using it as a filler to kind of fill in those black spaces rather than.
It's not quite an actual paint. I mean, when they say technical, they mean that these are all really technical. They're not meant for just glopping on and painting by any means. You really kind of have to have a little bit of finesse and know how to use these paints.
So I think that's about where I want to leave him in his goopy, slimy organs. Take a little bit off some of the organs, kind of move it around. Because it is, again, it's going to dry pretty shiny.
Yeah, it's a very, very gloss coat, and it does dry very quickly.
So that's about all I'm going to do with his organs. I think that's exactly what I wanted. But as you can see, we're using it pretty sparingly. It's a special effect, and like with any special effect, you don't want to overdo it.
Alright, well that's all for this demonstration of these technical paints. Make sure to check for more videos in the future, and
Like, comment, and subscribe to see more videos like this. We'll be working with these paints a little bit more. Luke will be doing some masterclass work. We're going to finish out some of these models, and hopefully show you guys what you want to see. So be sure to give us some comments and let us know what you want.
yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff planned in the future with the Weekend Warriors. We have a Landship Royal Rumble, a lot more painting tutorials, and a lot more modeling tutorials, a couple conversion and building tutorials, and then always more battle reports and things like that. Thanks for watching.
See you guys next time.